Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The Mariners, baby.
Oh, man.
I'm back.
Lefty France is back. New Mariners making their way onto the scene, showing up and showing out like Jose Caballero. But
Yeah, he raked that ball last night.
but we're not going there just yet.
No,
We'll save that for a different episode. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the Seahawks. And fun question was posed to me about a fun idea. And what we're gonna do in this episode is kind of go with each draft pick the Seahawks made and assign them a percentage that we think that they could start at some point throughout this year. Obviously there's guys you expect, some that you don't, but we're going to go through and let you know what we feel. And if you're looking for a guy, if he were a rookie coming in to this Seahawks team, probably like be a gritty fifth rounder that just works his way to all pro status after hard work and dedication. If you're looking for someone like that, you might be looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on Twitter at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real _Coach Red. Also, hop on over to YouTube, search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, leave a comment or two. I'm so glad I don't have to say more stuff. My mouth was getting tired and I had to say the rest of it. If you're looking for a guy that's going to come out a smaller school, but is just going to sizzle with the athleticism, maybe be looking for a guy like Red and Lefty France.
What up, peeps? Follow me on Twitter at Lefty France, on Instagram at DFrance13. Go over and follow our pod at Coach Red Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
I try my best on the do it, freaking do it. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Trademark.
All right. So we're going to start from the top and work our way down. Typically, your guys that you're seeing selected at the top of the draft probably have a higher percentage. Wanted to leave some room for discussion as we worked our way down the list of 10. Some of these are going to be a lot quicker than others since we've talked about these guys a few different ways since they were drafted. So don't want to beat a dead horse, but we're going to ride a different horse today. So giddy up, Lefty. We're going to
Giddy up.
Devin Witherspoon. Cornerback out of the Illinois Fighting Illini.
Fighting Illini, yes, sir.
Lefty, what percent chance do you have that Devin Witherspoon will start at some point this year?
100.
This one is just set it and forget it. It's 100%,
Yeah.
especially with the news coming out with our boy Tariq Woolen getting a little arthroscopic knee cleanup. News broke today as we're recording on Tuesday, and should be ready by the time training camp starts by all reports. I don't know why they waited so long, but apparently he was also practicing as recently as last week. So yeah. I think just a small little tweak, get it cleaned up for the Reek man. And Witherspoon should be starting regardless if Tariq Woolen is healthy at the beginning of the year or not.
Exactly.
All right. The next player, we've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver.
I'm going 100% chance as well.
You're not buying the D. Eskridge hype train that's trying to start? He's looking so elusive in the new drills.
No.
He's a little
I mean, this is like his Jared Kelnick year. Like, definitely got to prove it. But
so the thing is like Jared Kelnick, they didn't go get like the top tier free agent that was going to take Jared Kelnick's job.
Very true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I am Jackson Smith and Jigba train all day. JSN 11.
JSN 11 all day, 100% from me as well. No, I think we might be getting to some places where we could get a little interesting here.
Yeah.
Next player, we've got Derek Hall, Auburn Tiger, drafted at the top of the second round. Similar draft spot to Boye Mafe,
Mhm.
who was drafted last year. With Derek Hall as an edge player, lefty, what do you got as his percent to start this year?
To start, I'll go about 70%
Okay.
around that. I mean, it's going to be tough. He's got a lot of guys in front of him as well. So to be able to start, he's definitely going to have to show something. So I think 70 is fair, depending with injuries and all that. So maybe a little lower. Nothing higher than 70%, though. What do you got, coach?
I got 30%. And the reason I say
Okay.
that is because I think he's going to be competing for snaps with Darrell Taylor. And when Darrell Taylor is right, he gets after the quarterback. Uh, Led the team in sacks the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Had a couple of surge times. If you see Darrell Taylor hit a little bit of a scuffle and not get the production, um, and not change the game, get those pressures, that's where I see Derek Hall getting in. Especially when you look at the Boye Mafe, don't believe started a game last year. Played a similar role to Chinny Nwosu, who outperformed our greatest expectations
Yeah.
last year. Played extremely solid against the run and the pass. And Boye Mafe, his claim to fame was he was stout against the run, still developing as a pass rusher. What I see with Derek Hall, he's bendy, he can get around the edge, but developing those pass rushing moves, I don't think they're going to thrust him into the lineup. He will be a key rotational piece. I just
Yeah.
don't know if the path to him starting a game, it would have to come for me, injury or lack of impact on the game by Darrell Taylor for a stretch
Yeah.
of time.
Could see that.
All right, the next player we've got is running back from the UCLA Bruins, Zach Charbonneau.
For Zach, I'm gonna go 50%.
50. Either he does or he doesn't.
Yeah. Right down the middle. Um, I think only if Ken Walker was hurt is where he would actually start. I definitely see him being like a third down back for us off the get-go. But to start the game, yeah, 50%. I mean, Pete loves to throw some random guys out there to start.
Every once in a while he does do that.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. I clocked in at 40% on this one. And it's a similar vein because I think that this is going to be the closest to a timeshare that you're going to see that they've had
Mhm.
at the running back position. You both have young guys. You want to keep them fresh. I think that Kenneth Walker has earned the right to be the starter after what he did
For
last
sure.
year, barring injury, which he did get banged up last year. That's why I have it as
Mhm.
at a higher clip at around 40%, because I think they are similar. I think that your third down back, for me at least, kind of goes with the DJ Dallas and Kenny McIntosh roles. So I think that you're going to see a lot of play out of both these guys because of their physical bruising running style. And I think that they could even factor into the third down play because they're both
Yeah,
uh, good pass catchers out of the backfield. So I
for
think
sure.
that for me, it comes down to injury at this spot. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this turn into like a true, like an actual timeshare at some
Yeah.
point. Keep them both fresh.
Yep.
Like Subway, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, babe.
All right, next we've got Anthony Bradford, guard out of LSU.
Um, Anthony, I've got 45-ish.
5. I knew that you. I'll give you a hint. My number's lower, but I knew that yours was going to be higher than mine.
Yeah. What is yours? 5%?
20,
1%?
20%.
Okay.
But I love Phil Haynes, and I think that he
Yeah.
played well last year. I don't think he's going to be taking Damian Lewis snaps. I think that it would be either A, injury, or B, outperforming Phil Haynes. But I like Phil
Yeah.
Haynes. That's why I have him at a
I
low
know.
number.
I like,
You don't like him
yeah,
as much as me.
true. I I mean, our offensive line has been, especially guards, been hit or miss. So that's why I have it a little bit higher, is just who knows who they're going to throw out there at guard at some point in the season. So
That's true. And with Gabe Jackson getting old and having the old knees and,
yeah,
retiring, um, for me, when Phil Haynes was in, granted, I'm not an offensive line expert. I'm not gonna moonlight as an offensive line expert
what?
anytime soon.
No.
It's wild. But when you look at some of the grades, there are a lot of times where even though he wasn't playing all the snaps, he's playing about 50%, Phil Haynes, he was still grading out very well comparative to the rest of the offense. Like I think multiple times he was like a top 5, top 10 performer. So for me, I think it'd be harder to supplant that with them kind of giving him his first crack. And I think that Bradford still he's very athletic for his size because he is a mammoth of a man.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think a little bit like a season of refining where you have Damian Lewis pending free agent, Phil Haynes pending free agent. I believe that he 100% starts next year. I just don't know
Yeah,
if he's cracking the lineup this year, if it'll be mainly a developmental year, barring a injury start for me.
for sure.
All right, next we've got Cameron Young, D tackle out of Mississippi State. What you got here, Lefty?
I'm going 100.
100.
Yeah.
This late in the draft?
I like him, honestly. And I think that we don't really have anyone else to play there at this point in time. So
Fair point.
I think that he's going to be on the field
I almost thought you
starting.
were going to say, yeah, I like him. I like young players, and Young's in his name. So obviously I'm like him.
I should have said that. That would have been great.
I got 100% too. I mean, tell me who isn't a stat. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna start Faiula that we signed from the XFL Dragons. Like, there's not an established guy. I think
No.
we ended up picking a guy uh, after the calendar year started. I think he's from like Tennessee, D tackle
Okay.
type guy. So you could see that, but I think at some point he's gonna get a start.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
100%. All right. Next player we've got is Mike Morris, defensive end from Michigan.
I'm gonna go with 55%,
Good answer. Good answer.
55%.
Good answer.
Is
It's
that
like we're
what
on
you
Family
have?
Feud right now.
Do you have 55?
No, I did not.
Oh.
But I like your answer.
Reason being is just there's guys out, like we have guys out there already, gonna be harder to get a starting spot. Um, Unlike our defensive tackles, where we have zero guys. So yeah, I don't really see Mike Morris ever starting this year for us.
At what,
Not
55%? Oh
yeah,
man, it looks like that number's coming down. You're talking yourself into a lower number
it
as we
is. It
speak.
is talking me down. I'm gonna go 35.
Ooh, 20-point drop. Sorry, Mike. Hope you're not
Yeah.
listening. If you do, we'll get you Lefty Francis
Mike, Mike,
mailing
Mike, Mike, Mike,
address. You
Mike.
can send him the hate.
Guess what day it is, Mike?
Hump day.
Oh man. What do
I
you
got
got, coach?
I got 50%.
Okay.
And the reason being is he's going to play that edge role that is like that kind of hybridy role where he's going to be competing with Draymond Jones and Jared Reed. Jared
Yeah.
Reed isn't the youngest guy anymore, So I'm expecting an injury at some point. And there were points in time where his effort was questioned with the Packers, like the games where he effort was high. The Packers did pretty well along the defensive line. There were other games where his intensity wasn't there. I would expect his intensity to be back coming to Seattle, always competing. Pete Carroll wanted to come back, didn't like how he left things. But dude, Mike Morris is just big. Like
Yeah.
he's not beefy. I know he got up to 290, but he's just tall. And I think that having a guy out there that has a little bit of extra size to him, being able to throw up those meat paws and knock down some passes, I think could be very advantageous for this defense. And
Yeah.
uh, with Jaron Reed being older, that's kind of why I lean more towards the 50%.
Yeah. Do you think they could move him in
I don't
at some
think that
point?
he's going to move all the way into a straight up D tackle like nose
Yeah.
guard like Cameron Young will be. Even though Cameron Young, I think he's clocking in at like 320. And
It's a
I mean,
big man.
but the thing was, like Mike Morris is playing at like 275, 270
Yeah.
at Michigan, and he packed on 20 pounds already. I think it's probably gonna be tough to pack on another 30 and keep the athleticism there. Like
Yeah.
50 pounds a lot. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
that,
it is.
but especially when like you will look at some of these UFC fighters and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy's 205." I go, I know that they're depleting themselves of all the water weight, and then they're eating, and they're probably those guys that are fighting at like 205 end up fighting at like 225. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I don't think that Mike Morris is going to be losing a bunch of water weight to try and make. This isn't the Eddie
Probably
Lacy
not.
plan. This is the opposite.
Yeah.
Eddie, you need to stop eating them cheeseburgers. You're not cheeseburger Eddie no more. You need to lose the weight or else
Yeah.
you're gone. Like Mike Morris, is like, yeah, dude, you can have like 4 cheeseburgers if you want. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You want a
Get you
fifth
the whole
one?
menu.
You want a fifth cheeseburger? All right. Oh, the funnest name in the bunch. All right, so we've got Olasugun Oluwatimi, center, Michigan.
I'm gonna go with 45%.
Okay.
Um, just because with I feel like our center position is the worst piece on our team right now.
The worst.
Maybe not worst, but definitely needs some work. Um,
Sign
so
Evan Brown
yeah,
to the 1 year deal.
yep, exactly. Um, but yeah, I think at some point, pretty much based on injury, if someone goes down, could see him starting. So 45%.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting. I've got it at 40%. I kind of like Evan Brown in the metrics that I saw.
Yeah.
Granted, he's playing on a pretty good offensive line. And this is another good young offensive line. I think they're really kind of piecing some stuff together. But I think that when you're looking at versatility, you've got, let's say your both starting guards go down. Evan Brown's played guard in the NFL for the Lions. So being able to slot in, or if they don't think, if they think that Oluwatimi is a little bit more advanced than, say, Anthony Bradford, they could decide to slot Evan Brown over and start him. And you've seen it where the Seahawks can get creative at starting a center because Damian Lewis started a game at center his rookie year after never playing it. And that was like their best offensive running attack that year in his
Yeah.
rookie year. Is like bananas. He was
Yeah.
mauling people. So yeah, I think that there's a good shot. I don't think that off the get I don't for me, I think it boils down to injury. I don't think it necessarily boils down to him outplaying Evan Brown this year. But I do think
Yeah.
he's the center going forward
Next
after
year.
this year.
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 guys left. We've got probably a guy I've seen most on Twitter being gushed about um, by the Seahawks, and that's Jarek Reed, the second safety, New Mexico Lobos.
Uh, I'm gonna go 30%.
Okay.
I mean, they just with Jamal, Diggs,
Love.
Love, Yeah, it's like there's so many safeties on that roster. I unless he proves something early on, I don't really see him seeing the field.
Yeah, I've got
At,
him at.
at least on defense. I think special teams he
I think
will
he's going
for
to be a
sure be a
beast on
guy.
special teams.
Yeah.
I've got him clocking in at 10%. And the only way I see that is if Jamal Adams isn't healthy at the beginning of the year and you do get a safety that gets banged up, is how he'd get on the field. Because you might say, like, oh, maybe he can get some reps at slot corner.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kobe Bryant, Julian Love, potentially Mike Jackson slot inside with the
Exactly.
addition of Devin Witherspoon. I mean, it's a tough group to crack. And talked about it in a previous episode. You could see a similar path to like uh, Jeremy Lane here. You know, late round draft pick, made his hay in the special teams, and works his way into the lineup in some form or fashion down the road. I don't
Yeah.
think that it necessarily happens this year, barring a couple of injuries. All right.
Yep.
Last player to talk about, Kenny McIntosh, running back out of Georgia.
I'm gonna go 20%.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I think Charbonnet, right? That's how you pronounce it.
I mean, if you're fancy,
Oh,
I say Charbonneau.
okay.
But we're probably from different places. Like when you go down to the south, you're gonna get a lot of different pronunciations.
Yeah,
We try and read
but
some of those names. It's like uh, we are not going to say the same thing here.
no. But yeah, I don't think Kenny McIntosh is really gonna ever start this year for us. I think he could beat DJ Dallas out. But Charbonnet or whatever, I think he's for sure our number 2 back, and then Ken Walker at 1. So
Yeah,
don't see much time for Kenny as a starter. Maybe he'll change his name to Ken and then get Ken Walker's abilities.
maybe you never know. Oh man,
I go by Ken now.
yeah, it's not Kenny anymore. It's Ken. I'm an adult. I actually had that with like a former classmate. Growing up, his name was Ronnie. I saw him out at a bar. Like, oh hey Ronnie, what's up? It's Ron now. I'm like, all right, cool. Not talking to you anymore tonight. Have a great one. Have a great one, Ronnie.
Get that last Ronnie out.
Hey, sorry if you're listening, Ronnie. No hate,
Think Ronnie listens?
but probably not. Might. I don't know. Could be a Meg fan. Just hasn't reached out yet. We'll see. For Kenny McIntosh, I actually have this at a 0% chance.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I think that, like you're saying, Charbonneau, Cain, those are your top 2 all around type guys. And I think those are your starters. If both get banged up, DJ Dallas has started for this team. And I think that if you're down the dynamic, you want the consistency. And
Yeah.
although Kenny McIntosh might be a little bit more dynamic of a running back, I think if you have your top 2 guys down, Pete's going to opt for consistency and have DJ Dallas out there more. In that his role would expand, but I don't think he would get to starting level.
True.
It was a fun little exercise. And
That was a fun one.
I hope that you guys all learned a little something. But if not, maybe you think you could teach us something. And if you think that's the case, hop on over and let us know on social media. You can find me, your boy Coach Red, on Twitter at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real_Coach Red. Also hop on over to YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or 2 right after you search Kicking It with Coach Red.
Mm-hmm.
Lefty France, where you at?
Follow me on Twitter at Lefty France, on Instagram at DFrance13. Go over and follow our pod at Coach Red Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Hey, follow us. Do it. Freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.